Welcome to Glow Up in Grace podcast, where faith meets real life. I'm your host, Dr. Deborah Owens, and together we'll explore hope, healing, and the kind of grace that transforms our stories. Let's dive in. Welcome to the Glow Up in Grace podcast. We have a special guest with us today, Dr. Ed Holliday. He's a dentist from Tupelo, Mississippi, and our relationship goes back over 20 years, Dr. Holliday.
Oh, yes, that's right.
So happy to have you on the program today.
Well, I'm blessed that you asked me to come on your program, and I'm excited because I got a new book, and it's a book I did not want to write, but I'll share more, as we go along.
Yes, and so I actually find the topic important and fascinating, and we're going to dive right into it because I have tons of questions for you, Dr.
Okay.
Holliday. So let's go back to the day that this all began, and how did the first contact happen?
Well, I'll tell everybody the reason I did not want to write this book is because it's about being scammed. And it's a firsthand account of a true crime story, and I'm the victim. And I did lose in cryptocurrencies right around $200,000 in a couple hours. And but today it was on Valentine's Day, 2025, February 14th, and everything was going just smooth. I was in the afternoon, I was just going over different things, and I was putting together my taxes to get ready to take to my accountant some papers to my accountant, and I got a phone call, and somebody said they were Google, and I knew. I said Google doesn't call, so I said no, you're not Google, and you're going to have to prove that, if you're anybody. They said they were freezing my account because somebody was in it or trying to get in access to it. And they weren't forcey or pushy. They just said, we are here. We're calling you because, somebody's into your account and we need to freeze it. And I was frustrated. I was thinking, well, you're going to have to prove it. And I said, I don't believe it. And so they sent me emails, and everything said it's from Google. And then, but I said, I don't believe it. And then they said, well, what if we send you a message through your YouTube app on your phone? And when I know Google owns YouTube, and I've gotten messages from, Google before, they'll say, check YouTube app and we'll give you and that's how Google does. They do use the YouTube app. So I said, yeah, I'd feel better, if you send me a message on my YouTube app. And sure enough, there comes a message on my YouTube app. And they said, there's some numbers there, tell me what, there's 3 different sets of numbers, and tell us, what those numbers are. And now I see, but they were using, they knew what Google did, and they had, anyway, they got into, that gave them access to my Gmail account. I didn't know that at the time. They said, we just need a temporary password. And I explain all this in my book. I go in more detail, but basically Google, well, it was not Google, of course, and they didn't seem heavy-handed. Didn't see, American voice. It wasn't foreign voices or anything. And then they just said, we just, we'll give you a temporary password, and you're good to go. And they said,
So
you're secure.
at what point did you feel or sense that something was wrong, that you were
Well,
being
at the very first, I didn't
that?
believe them. Yeah, I did not believe them. But they sent me about 7 or 8 emails, and it sent me messages on my YouTube app on my phone that only Google's supposed to be able to do. But I think I know how they did it now. But anyway, I detailed all that, and then they hung up. He said, "No, you're good. Your account's good." That's so I and if looking back, once I did, I should have gone back and changed the password immediately again, but I didn't. But they were getting in my account and reading my emails. And then about 2 hours later, or an hour and a half or so, it was around 4:30, end of the day, just trying to get everything ready and finish out today, and I got another phone call, and they said, and for people who don't know, cryptocurrencies, there's an exchange called Coinbase, and I had a lot of cryptocurrency funds on Coinbase, and I got a phone call, and people always say, and Coinbase tells you when you sign up, we will never call you. But I got a call, and they said we're Coinbase asset protection. Anyway, I said, no, you're not. And again, they sent me
Oh,
email after email. If
mm,
everything looked just on, and they said they gave me the exact number of one of my cryptocurrencies. I had 1,999 of one certain currency, and it's worth about $38,000. And they said somebody is hacking in and moving your, uh, you know, crypto right now. And we're just asset protection, telling you, if that's not you, we need to do something. And I said, well, I don't believe you. But again, they sent me about 8 or 9 emails. They sent me, um, and everything looked as real as it could be, but they were all fake, of course. I know now. But
mm.
so that's pulled me in. And once they got in, and I go through this in the book, and here's the book right here.
Give us the title of your book.
The title of the book is Crypto Conned, My 200K Nightmare, and 10 Key Steps to Safeguard Your Future. So, what happened to me, I don't want it to happen to others. But once they once they use what we call social engineering, they brain manipulation, and after it's over, I can go back and see, especially being a dentist in the healthcare field, the fight or flight mechanism.
Mm.
Everybody has it. You get
Oh
the
yeah,
fear
I know
factor.
all about that. I'm in the fight
Yeah,
fight
yeah.
mode right now.
But that's exactly what they key on, and in your mind. And again, I give details and explain how it happens in the book, what happens to the brain, because I went back and studied. And basically, and you go back to the book of Proverbs, it said, pride comes before a fall. I was so protective of that 1,999 of that cryptocurrency that was worth $38,000, and I'd had it for about 5 or 6 years. I didn't want to sell it because it'd gone up a lot, and I didn't want to pay capital gains taxes, so I just left it there. And I was one of my favorites, and I guess I was overly protective. And I thought, if anybody's trying to get it, I got to figure out how to protect this.
Stop it.
And then
Mm-hmm.
your brain, what happens in the fight or flight mechanism, there's different parts of the brain starts getting activated. And all scammers, this, and they use it and they manipulate the brain. And looking back, I can't believe I did it. And most people who are scammed, either they are ashamed, they don't want to talk about it, they don't want anybody to know. And I'm the same way. I didn't want anybody to know. But I did have a guy that came in and cleaned up my computers and got everything back uh, back in good shape and free from the scammers. He told me, he said, Ed, I know you're a good writer, and you really ought to write a book about this, because I know so many people who get scammed that don't want anybody to know about it, and people just need to be better educated about scams. And so that's one reason I
So at
went
what
ahead and
point
wrote the
did you
book.
realize, though, Dr. Holliday, at what point did you realize that they had taken 200, because we haven't given the number,
Well,
$200,000?
yeah.
Oh,
And again, you go to the book because it has some good, I go into excruciating details, but it took about an hour going through all that, because I was like, I felt like I was vetting them. Of course, they were allowing me to, because they knew it's like reeling a fish in on on a line. They didn't want to let me go, and they weren't. They were very patient, kind voice, and what happens, your brain believes they are your helper, they are your friend, and they are ready to. They're like wolves in sheep clothing. In my book, I talk about Little Red Riding Hood and the story of Little Red Riding Hood, and how they're big bad wolves out there, and and
mm,
and what happened is it went from bad to worse because as they basically told me that you know, we don't want you to take your money off Coinbase. They said we just need to move it from from the Coinbase exchange to the Coinbase wallet. That's all we want you to do. So, we're from Coinbase. We're here to protect you. And it made it sound legit. And again, for all the emails and everything. And then as in the middle of it, we had trouble. I couldn't figure out something, and they said this is the worst thing. And I'm telling everybody that it's again the details are in the book, but they said we can't see your computer screen. We can help you if we could see it. So
Mm.
download this program
Wow.
from Google. I mean, it was Google this program. They didn't give me a program. They said just use this generic program. And then once they got in my computer, they started, they had my computer expert was telling me about something like a turbo finder. Anyway, they just suck out all your information, spit out everything they don't need, and they zero in on passwords and your accounts. And then because they had broken in my Gmail, they knew the exact number I had. And it made me feel like they were from Coinbase. They were from the exchange because they knew exactly what I had. And, that's of course not public knowledge. Nobody would know. And nobody
Right.
could know unless they were inside or they knew from emails or something. So
So they
that
gave you a
is
bit
the bad thing.
of factual information to make you believe that they were legitimate.
Yep, yep. They used things, and I guess the most important thing I learned, Deborah, and that's why I'm glad you're having me on. If anybody's listening, never, never do any financial planning or anything with finances over the telephone unless you initiate it. I mean, you just got to go in person. All the stuff online and you don't know who it is. I mean, even given, I mean, I don't care if it's a political campaign or, a nonprofit. There's a lot of great nonprofits, but if somebody calls you, you don't know who they are. I mean, they are more than likely they're scammers.
Now, at
Look,
what point did you tell your family, Dr. Holliday? The emotional toll, I'm sure, was great for you. I'm sure
it,
you were
it
sad,
is.
mad, and everything else. But at what point did you tell your family?
Well, basically, I was on like 2 hours going through, and then when I realized, there was something was I knew was not feeling good, and I remember thinking, if I'm getting scammed, I may be getting scammed. Um, and 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 then what it was, they helped me set up a wallet on Coinbase using my name and everything, and I was watching them move things over the different assets, the different cryptocurrencies. And I would see them, and then after a while, I looked, and they were not in my new wallet.
Oh, wow.
And I said, "Hey, where is my Bitcoin?" And they said, "No, we need to work on this. It takes 24 hours to show up." I said, "No, no, 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 no. We're not doing anything till I see my Bitcoin back where it was." And they said, "No, let's go. We need to look at this other thing." And anyway, and there was a special another cryptocurrency that it's called polymath. It's a little bitty thing, but I said, "Where's my polymath?" And and then they knew that I knew, and they just hung up,
They
and
hung
they'd
up.
already extracted when I was. They were talking to me, and that's why I feel like it's a team, because as they were talking to me, I had no idea they were going through my digital wallets. I had 4 or 5 different digital wallets that you have to keep cryptocurrencies on, and they'd gotten the passwords and they were just draining them dry. And I had no clue. At the end, I saw one of my wallets pop up, and then all it's just like you saw all the shares, the
Disappearing.
currencies, they were just disappearing. And so you asked me when I told my family. Of course, my kids are all out of the house now. My wife is downstairs, and I came down, and I felt horrible. I mean, I've never had that feeling in my life. I just And on the front of my book, I don't know if you can see that, but there's
Yeah.
the famous painting called "The Scream," the Edvard Munch. It's in Oslo, and I'd seen it one time, and it's one of the fascinating pieces of art I've always, you know, enjoyed seeing. But I never felt like I'd feel like the poor guy on the front of that cover screaming. But that was me. I just, I felt like a failure, and I was a failure as far as protecting my assets, and then I told my wife, and she was, you know, she was cool about it. I mean, what can you do with $200,000? A lot,
That's a lot of money.
and
Up
and
my
and it was
mortgage, Dr.
and it
Holliday.
was yeah, it was gone. And then I knew, and what happens with crypto, for people who don't know, they have a thing called a tornado app or something, and what they do is, once they steal something from you, they can put it through this app, and it splits it up in hundreds of different little
Mm,
pieces that, so the FBI and the police, they can't track it because it's split up into hundreds and even thousands of little. But in fact, on my computer, after I got my computer expert, security expert to come in and help clean things up. And again, I explain what you need to do in a book if you do get scammed. But I was looking on a page and and I had some Bitcoin that they stole, but I mean, I didn't have one Bitcoin now is worth about what, $110,000. So I didn't have
one?
one Bitcoin is worth that, but I didn't have a full
Wow.
Bitcoin, but I had, pieces of Bitcoin.
Wow.
But on my computer, it showed a transaction, and that there was like uh, 38 Bitcoin that was used. I said, "What is this?" I said, "I didn't have that much." It's $1.3 million at the time, is what we figured, and they had used my computer to launder. He said, "I figured that's how much they stole all day, and they used your computer to run it through. Uh, they were in your computer, so they laundered the I think it's like $1.3 million. Now that wasn't my money, of course. I guess I wish I had that much so I could but I wouldn't want to have that much and lose it. But
Very sophisticated.
yeah, it was very sophisticated. Like I said, it's like a 1-2 punch. And then when it was done, I mean, I felt I've never had a suicidal thought in my life, but now I feel everything was crashing down, and I could see how somebody who is not prepared, and not that I was prepared, but somebody, I can just see how you just want to end it. I mean, you just want to stop the hurt, stop the pain, and uh, I just didn't. I told her in the book, it was the worst feeling. I never had a gut punch that bad, that quick. And I had to tell myself, hey, I'm not in the hospital. I'm not hurt. My kids aren't hurt. Nobody's hurt. Nobody's physically in pain. But I was in, I was in bad mental pain. And, so, but I had to go through the steps and, report it to the police next morning. And the local police did the best they could. And I did go to the Coinbase and the different exchanges, and they had got everything frozen. There was one exchange I used called Gemini, and whatever reason they got access into Gemini through brain, manipulating my brain. But Gemini, for some reason, and I don't know their program, whatever, they shut it down. They shut it down, and they tried to move my coins, and Gemini knew something wasn't right, and they shut down. They froze my account, so I didn't lose a penny from that
Oh,
exchange.
that's good.
Now Coinbase, I had about 100,000 in it, and I ended up for a little less than 20. Then they
Wow.
froze my account, and basically the whole scam. And I did have to rely on my faith. Uh, I was still hurting. I couldn't sleep. My heart was just beating, pounding. And I went out and walked in the neighborhood, it was a cool night on February 14th. And I just hummed old hymns. That's the only thing that would calm me down. I just try to sing hymns. And then I tried my best. I will say, in my mind, I had some bad things I'd want to happen to the scammers. But I finally, I had to lay it at the feet of Jesus, and just revenge is mine, thus saith the Lord. And it was hard, but I prayed for the scammers, and I prayed that uh, they would find a better life, and I just prayed for them, and that started giving me some relief. And I knew there wasn't anything I could do. Uh, and
That was a question I had actually. I have how did your faith in God help you process and move forward from this loss? Did you wrestle with any feelings toward the people who scammed you? And was there a specific scripture or prayer or encouragement that helped you get through this? So
well,
you answered bits and
yeah,
pieces.
pretty much. And and if people want to know more about the book, they can go to cryptocondbook.com. I got a website just for this book, cryptocondbook.com, and they can find out more. And it can be ordered on Amazon now, and Barnes and Noble and other places. You can just put in the CryptoCond, my 200K nightmare. But saying that, and I have a few scriptures in the book. I've tried to write the book, not it's not a Christian financial book. It's a book written by a Christian who got scammed. So
Yeah,
I do use, the faith was, it tested my faith. I mean, it really did. It hurt. It
yeah.
hurt to know what happened. And I had um, several incidents that I tell in the book, and how some things came around the next few days to help me, and friends and those who I know, and I had to just come to the truth that I lived 64 years. I'm 64 now, and all of my life that was a horrible thing, and I hated it. I really hated it. But I can live. I'm healthy. I'm
Amen.
alive, and I can put that behind me. And I had a good friend who told me, said, "Ed, I know it hurts, but you're healthy." And he told me
Amen.
about his friend, and I explained that in the book. He had a friend that in her 40s can't even move, battling for cancer, and she couldn't. If she got scammed, she couldn't do anything. I
Right.
can because I'm at this point. The good Lord's given me health, and I'm healthy, and
Amen.
so I put the book out because I want to protect others. And I'll be honest and say, I hope I get a little of that back. But it is to help others, because most people will not talk about the scam. They won't talk about it because it hurts to talk about it. But at the same time, it could be insurance. I had somebody tell me today that their dad went on, and thought they were going on Geico, and they figured out, and they started punching in, and they saw the money leaving their bank account, and it was not, everything looked like Geico, but it was not Geico.
No. Yeah.
So
Yeah.
everybody has to really watch. AI is getting so good, and basically what I've learned from computer security guys is don't use hyperlinks. If you're doing anything financial, go to the website and know you're on the right website, and then do anything if you're doing anything financially. Don't use hyperlinks. So
Amen. Well, thank you, Dr. Holliday, for sharing your story. I truly appreciate your courage that you would take something so personal. Like you said, you were, you felt ashamed, you felt all these emotions, anger,
right,
all of that, but you
right,
took the time to put it in a book form to help others, because they are getting more sophisticated out there, and we get all types of links and things that we think we might assume is
yeah.
good, right? And then we click it, and before you know it, they have our information. So I want to thank you for taking the time. You're my first person that I'm interviewing on
Okay.
a new podcast, Glow Up in Grace. And so I really, truly appreciate also our friendship over the many years. And I want to ask you one final question before we
Okay.
end. And that is, what kind of encouragement would you give someone who's going through financially? Maybe they've had a loss, maybe not as much as yours, maybe more than yours. And, right now things are kind of tight for many people. So what kind of encouragement would you give to people who are going through financial crises or hardship?
That is a very good question. And before I answer that, let me just say I'm honored to be on your show. And I
Well,
really hope your podcast just goes all over the internet. And because I know with your wisdom and your everything you have, and you and your husband Bill have been such good friends over these years, and God has blessed you with a lot of wisdom and a lot of people. So I really I feel honored to be on your podcast. But
thank
answering the question, Deborah, is the thing we have to do is keep your eyes on the prize, and that's living a life with faith, and with the financial losses or financial needs, you have to take one day at a time, and you do have to forgive if you've been scammed. I mean, if there's a movie out there people told me about, and I finally saw it. It's got a lot of violence, rated R in it, but for the violence. But somebody got scammed. It's called The Beekeeper, and you want
right.
revenge. You
See
won't.
that.
Yeah,
Yeah.
you want revenge, but you got to get that out. And thus saith the Lord, vengeance is mine. I mean that's what gave me the relief that I lay that at the feet of Jesus, and then I just got to try to work at it a little bit at a time and try to build back up. And I'm not afraid of cryptocurrencies. I don't want people to feel like, oh, anything crypto, you get conned, but you got to know what you're doing. And I gave good steps in the book, and I'm gonna get back into cryptocurrencies when I can. But it's a type thing that anything, any asset, you got to be prepared for it. And I'd say just take it one day at a time, and have a game plan, and don't try to get revenge. You just got to move forward.
Amen. Let's get that website again for your book, and
Yeah.
where they can get the book on your website and also on Amazon.
Yeah, I got links on the website. It's called cryptocondbook.com. Cryptocondbook.com. And I'm a novelist also, and we'll have links at hatchiebooks.com. That's HATCHIE, hatchiebooks.com, where I write my novels. So it's been wonderful that you've had me, and I hope this will help people. And I guess my phrase is, don't let what happened to me happen to you.
That's a nice way to end it. Thank you so much, Dr. Holliday, again for your time and your many, many years of friendship and your support of our ministry as well over the years. We appreciate it.
All right, I'll put my book up here. Everybody can see it. And thank you, Deborah.
God bless. Bye-bye.
God bless you.
Bye-bye. Thanks for joining me today on Glow Up in Grace podcast. Don't forget to subscribe, share this with a friend, and follow us on Instagram at Glow Up in Grace podcast for more encouragement. Until next time, keep walking in grace.